It is a championship for the Bedford Bulldogs, 3 in a row.
Johnson serves it in. Great header there, and it's a goal.
Brian O'Brien shot, Bedford goal.
Sees it about the 18, sends it up and over and in. Big shot, Grace Crowder. Will kick, snaps back, kick is up. It looks good. It is good.
It's good.
It is good.
It's good.
Hello, welcome to Meet the Coaches, the 2023 edition here on BCTV. I'm Harry Kozlowski, Program Director of WBNH Radio, also called the play-by-play for a number of sports on TV and radio. And we are here right now to meet all the coaches of the fall program. And of course, the person who kind of conducts the orchestra here, Corey Parker, Athletic Director. Corey, I want to congratulate you on a very successful year last year in Bedford High Athletics. 12 of your sports won titles, and a couple of more went to the finals.
Thank you. I certainly deserve zero credit to that. The coaches and players and parents supporting those kids deserve all the credit, and I get to reap the benefits. I do want to correct you, though. It was 13 state champions and 6 runner-ups last year. But that truly is last year, and that's the goal of this fall, of really embracing the 23-24 teams and utilizing a lot of the attributes that made those teams very successful. Those 19 teams aside, I think all of our programs last year reached accomplishment levels that they hadn't really had in a few years. So we're trying to build off those skill sets, those fundamentals, those practice plans, those culture building, positive energy moments to really build on 23-24 teams.
Some of the coaches we're going to meet today have been with the school from the very beginning. Some have been here for a couple of years, others are brand new. But what are some of the qualities that you find in common in all those coaches?
Yeah, I mean, we're very fortunate when we do have an applicant pool for a coach posting. It generally generates a lot of interest in Southern New Hampshire and Northern Massachusetts. And so, part of my goal and what makes my job really special is trying to find that right individual that not only has the skills to build on the field, whatever sport they're playing, but really has the character traits that we want to mentor our 15 to 18-year-old kids and make them better young adults. And so buying into what we're trying to do here in the Bedford community is part of that process. And certainly, not just the X's and O's, but what it really means to be part of the fabric of a community, show your care and passion for young adults, and really use the sport as the carrot to become better individuals. And so we're very fortunate when we do hire a new coach like Shiloh Blank, Araceli Robinson, and Erica Fenstermacher, our new cheerleading crew this year. They've already gravitated and spoke to a lot of our other coaches and helping and being almost mentors to them about troubleshooting scenarios that may come up, because although football is very different than golf, we deal with a lot of similarities because they're high school age kids, and so we want to make their experience as pleasant as possible and meaningful, and coach mentorship is a huge part of that.
That leads into my next question. I was going to ask, what are the things that beyond the coaches go into creating successful athletes? Parents, youth programs away from the academic teams. What are some of the things that go into that?
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned academics, because it's a very similar parallel, right? It's when kids are getting to us at the 9th grade level, we're very fortunate to already have a robust foundation for those individuals because they have great parent support, community engagement. Youth programs in this town are a huge part of our championships, really, and that's when we get to those state championship games, we really want to reach out to our youth community because they're a huge part of it. Those coaches that are coaching BAC soccer and youth football from 8 through 16 play a huge role in what happens here on a Friday night or a Thursday night soccer game, and we never want to lose sight of that. We're fortunate to have some coaches who are community members who have younger kids and siblings through the system coming up, and so they see it, but it really cannot be missed about our community, and those volunteers at the younger level have built such a great foundation of skill. Once the kids get into the 9th grade level, our tryouts are pretty darn competitive for that reason. Much like our academic enrichment of our building, kids come in at a really high level, and I think that's one of the great appeals of why people want to live and go to school at Bedford High School.
What are some of the things that the fans and parents can do to support these teams? Of course, you have the BBABC, the Bedford Boosters. They raise funds and they help out in any way they can. What are some of the other ways that fans can get involved?
Yeah, immediacy, right, is joining the BBABC, which is our Bedford Bulldogs Athletic Booster Club. Every dollar of that organization goes right into the nonprofit, trickles down right to our sports teams. It helps offset things I can't afford in my budget that we don't necessarily ask the taxpayers to pay for. So, this past year we had a large bill at Crown Trophy, fortunately, because we hand out state championship plaques to 13 programs. So that was a great bill that boosters had to pay this year. But again, that money comes from proceeds from sponsorships, from people joining the booster club, to buying concessions. Everyone you see on the grounds at Bedford High School during a sporting event, kind of me excluded, is a volunteer in one way or another, including you all who run a fan program and supporting our sports program. So the more you can get engaged, being a booster member is easy. Click on the website, $25 donation goes right to the program.
And that website is bbabc.net.
Thank you. The other obvious one is come out to games. Come out to soccer, come out to field hockey, come out to football. Support all of our teams. We want to create a home field advantage as much as possible, and more people wearing red and black in the stands supporting the Bulldogs is going to create that. And I think that carries forth the idea, the tradition, the pride of wanting to play for your high school team.
You mentioned some of the new coaches that are on board this year. What are some other new things we're going to be looking out for this year?
Hopefully just the continued success and farther away from any kind of issues we had a couple years ago when play was limited with masks and so on and so forth. But, I think specifics, nothing really, I guess, other than just new teams, new positions, new kids stepping into new roles. We graduated a ton of talent, ton of great kids last year, and it's exciting to watch some of the underclassmen and those junior varsity players prosper up to those levels. And also watching our freshmen kind of gravitate and become high school student athletes and representing our building.
One of the things that we've tried to do at BCTV and Bedford 105.1 is bring more of the games to the fans, either on tape delay, live, radio, TV. We try to do as much as possible, and this year we're going to be doing more games, and we're going to also be bringing more sports to the TV.
Yeah, no, we're very fortunate. Again, you guys are the best in the business. And many towns talk to me about how jealous they are of what you guys offer and the professionalism you roll into a football game like you will at Gill Stadium, tomorrow night, and really do it the right way. Professional, first-class act, and I know our kids in town really appreciate it. I think COVID really kind of sparked that when we were streaming more sports, and I'm not kidding, getting an email from somebody in Istanbul watching a basketball game. They've learned to kind of expect our games on TV, which says a ton about just kind of the development, the foundation, and the continued approach that you guys take to it. And we're fortunate to have live streaming cameras in all our gymnasiums here at the turf field, so that if you can't make a game, all our junior varsity, all our freshman games are still live streamed on the internet. And, again, it's able to connect family members, parents who are traveling. They're able to watch their kids play high school sports, and a little different from when we all grew up. Our parents had to work at times, or they couldn't make games. You can go back on demand and watch every single sporting event that your kid participated in.
Yeah, you can find them on YouTube.
Absolutely. And the BCTV, on demand channel has everything as well. So we're very fortunate to have the technology in town, and supported by our town with your budgets as well, because I think it's able to provide such a great opportunity for our kids that they don't see it now, but in 20 years when they're looking back, they can go and click on a link and watch a game that we're not able to do from Gill Stadium, West High football, thank God, way back in the day. So it's a really great opportunity for the kids, and I generally know they appreciate it. They really do.
Well, you mentioned the Jamboree. We are going to tape delay bring that to you, so keep an eye out for that. Field hockey begins tomorrow as well. You'll be able to catch that on a stream on one of the channels, one of the outlets. And I want to mention, too, that if you are a parent or if you're somebody who just wants to get involved in sports broadcasting, we're always looking for volunteer announcers. So the more games that we can put a voice to, the better the experience is for everybody. So keep that in mind, too.
Absolutely, great plug.
Just get a hold of Bill Jennings if you want to get involved there. Corey, congratulations on a great year. Hopefully another great year coming up, and good luck.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Bill, Andrew, Harry, of course. I'm sure Corey, the entire crew that'll be around, Colleen. You guys
Lauren Fox.
Lauren Fox, for sure. We're very blessed to have you guys and helping and being on our side. So can't wait to work all winter, fall, and spring with you.
We're here with Coach Zach Matthews of the Bedford Bulldogs football team, entering his 5th year as head coach. Coach Matthews, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's always exciting to talk a little bit of Bedford athletics.
And this is a very special year. You're coming off a state title, and it's the first time a number 10 seed, first of all, the first time there's ever been a number 10 seed in the playoffs, and you go ahead and win it all.
Yeah, I think, we've talked to the kids all off season really about what a special year that was, and now starting a new season, it's time to put that behind us. And so, our first meeting, we talked about how great last year was, obviously storybook ending, but this group this year needs to focus on the task at hand, and we talked about we have to climb the mountain again. And so kind of starting that process all over again. Last year was special. this year's something new, and that's what the kids are working towards.
Now you've got some of your seniors returning players like Dom Tagliaferro, as well as quarterback Danny Black. You're going to count on them for the leadership for some of the new players coming in and filling in some of the starter roles.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky we returned 7 starters on both sides of the ball, so I don't think there's usually many high school teams who can say, hey, we won a championship and we're returning a lot of pieces. Most of the time when you win a championship, you're a very senior-laden program. So we're lucky we had a really strong junior class last year. Obviously, those guys are rising seniors now. The experienced guys are taking more of a leadership role and kind of, getting some of those new skill players involved in what we've got going on.
And speaking of some of those new players, you've been in camp now for about 2 weeks. Have any players caught your eye? Anybody rising through the depth chart for you?
Yeah, I mean, we have some sophomores who are ready to contribute. So right now at right tackle, we've got sophomore Connor Flaherty. Connor's done a really nice job in the offseason. He's kind of jumped in opposite of Spencer Henderson and done some really nice things in preseason camp. I would also say at the running back position, Brody Helton. Brody Helton's another sophomore. Great ability, really good vision as a running back. Has a really good body type as far as what we're looking for. 200-pound kid, has great vision, really sees holes, sees the cutback lanes really well. So we're excited about those 2 kids specifically.
How about on the sidelines? How many of your coaches and assistants are coming back with you?
Yeah, so we're only replacing 1 coach, and that's at the freshman level. So we're lucky to have our entire varsity coaching staff back this year, and I think that's one of the biggest pieces. You mentioned that this is my 5th season, and I've been lucky enough to work with the rest of these guys for 4 years. And so every year your coaching staff changes, it kind of puts you in a different spot. We don't have any changes on our coaching staff, and we've been working together for a while, and I think that's what allows us to make some of the adjustments that we make during games, and things move pretty smoothly.
I know you're focused on the Bulldogs, but do you have any time to scout any of your opponents this year? What do you think the competition is going to be like going into the season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're the team, obviously, that returns probably the most of our supporting cast, but there's some other teams out there I could give you. I expect Pinkerton to have a really good year this year. They had some good pieces coming back. I would say we saw Wyndham in a preseason scrimmage, and they looked pretty good, taking another step forward. Londonderry will always be a team to watch just because of what they've developed in their program, the number of kids in their program. They're well over 100 student athletes in their program, and they do a really good job coaching them up. So although Londonderry loses a lot of kids, I expect them to be in the mix as well.
Well, Coach, good luck going into this year. You've got high expectations once again with a title, and good luck getting that 2nd title in a row.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Harry Kozlowski, and you're watching the 2023 edition of Meet the Coaches here for Bedford High School. And with me now are the cross-country coaches, both the boys and girls coaches. To my immediate left is Megan Seviano, and to my far left is the girls coach, Stephanie Burnham. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
So tell us, how long have you been with the Bedford program?
I believe this is my 12th season here coaching, and I think my 13th year teaching. I might be off by a year.
And this is my 3rd season cross country.
I take it you've all been runners most of your life. It's like a lifelong passion. How does one get started? How does one choose the sport of running as their passion?
So this marks 30 years of running for me. I started when I was 12, and I fell in love with the sport running for Hillside Middle School. Just tried it out, and it turned out to be a really good sport for me, not having much eye-hand coordination, but loving just the movement of sport and running.
And I played team sports, but basically got cut from those, so running is the way to go from there.
Were the Olympics ever an inspiration for you? I know we got an Olympic game coming up next year in Paris. Have you ever watched previous Olympics when you were young and thought that's something I'd like to do?
I was never personally inspired by the Olympics for running. I did watch it and actually was a figure skater when I was young and loved that aspect of it. I've gotten to be more into the Olympics as an adult, and especially with the rising prominence of American women's in distance running. So.
And I guess I've never had the aspiration of making the Olympic team. That's the top 3 in the nation make that. But one cool thing about the marathon is that they take quite a few women for the trials, and I actually went to the trials in 2020, and my goal is to try to make it again to the trials in 24, but never with the aspiration of going out in the top 3. So.
But last year the girls came in second. They were runners-up for the state title, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So they've had some success, and now you have goals of taking it all the way this year?
I mean, every year that we run, our goal is to score the most points and have the best season that we can. We always have that aspiration. Last year we came in hoping to qualify for New England's. We knew that we would be a strong team. We weren't sure that we would be a podium team, but we were hoping for it. And we managed to actually have an undefeated season. We were ranked number 1 all the way into the final, so that was amazing. But I think we were really happy with the turnout of the season, even though we did finish second. It's one of the best finishes we've had in the high school's history, and the girls all ran really well. We made our goal to go to New England's, and so we're hoping to start the season with that same goal, and just do the best we can, stay healthy, and hope for a really healthy and competitive season. It'd be great to win, obviously.
Coach Saviano, how's your team looking this year? How are they put together?
Last year we came in 12th, so we're kind of looking to better that. And this year we've gotten onto the rankings already. I think from the strong track seasons that we've had last year, indoor and outdoor were both winning seasons for the boys, and pretty much everyone on those teams are returning. So that put us a little bit on the radar, but I'm hoping to stay a little bit of a dark horse for as long as possible.
Who are some of your top runners? Who would you like to kind of give a shout out to?
Well, we're returning all of our varsity team this year with the exception of Colette Snow, and we have one runner who is focusing on swimming this season, but we've brought in a few replacements. So we have all of our varsity returning from last year, led by Fiona Lee, Kelsey O'Neill, Sophie Mooney, Mia Moranti. I don't want to leave anyone out. I feel like I'm forgetting one person right now.
Here, yeah.
But we have all of those girls returning, and we have a really strong contingent in the top 10, really. We have some swing runners that we have a competitive team, so we have a couple of girls who could easily be in that top 7, all around, just looking good.
And for the boys team?
Jacob Redmond is our top runner, and after that, sort of kind of a fun thing on a team when you have people who can be a coin flip. So Jared and Patrick work together really well for those next spots, and they're hoping to be top 15 in the state. And they're all seniors this year. They were all on the school record 4x8 team, as well as Ryan Young, who's kind of in that 4th position. And then from there, it's anyone's. Kind of the fifth runner is one of the most important on a cross-country team, so it's kind of fun when that spot's open and there's a lot of kids shooting for it, so we're excited about that.
Last question. Other than winning the title, what are some of your goals for this year? What would you consider to be a successful year?
I think any season where we can remain healthy and have the majority of the team running PRs, that's our goal, is for girls to be able to run faster. And ultimately, my personal goal is for kids to enjoy the sport and take running as a lifelong gift that they can bring with them.
Coach Saviano?
I think similarly, a smart coach is going to make sure that the runners are all healthy and enjoying it. And just sort of taking that into the indoor season and outdoor season, and not really limping in, but feeling really strong for all of those seasons. So that's kind of always the goal as well.
Coach Megan Saviano and Stephanie Burnham, thank you very much for joining us here on BCTV.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Harry Kozlowski, and welcome to Meet the Coaches 2023 edition here for Bedford Bulldogs athletic program in the fall. And right now we're meeting the crew coaches for both the boys and girls. Jeff Upton, boys coach on my far left, and Randy Ford, the girls coach to my immediate left. Gentlemen, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
And Jeff, you've just taken over as a head coach for the program. You were an assistant for a while, correct?
Yeah, I was a volunteer assistant coach for about 6 seasons, I think. So I've seen us move from our old location to the new location, and really excited to be taking on a bigger role this year.
And Randy, you've been with the program how long?
Quite a while, probably since inception, with the exception of 1 year, so about 13 years.
How's the team changing from last year to this year? What are some of your new additions and goals you're going to implement for your team?
Well, this year right now we're starting off with a slightly smaller squad. We had a lot of kids graduate, so we're going to have to adapt to that. We may not have quite as much depth to draw from on making out the lineups, but that'll be our first challenge, I think, this year.
And with the girls team?
Yeah, with the boys team, we're similar numbers to last year. We've got a lot of novices. So I think one of the changes for us is we're investing in some new training equipment. So we have a new barge, which allows us to get the novice athletes out really quickly on the water, train them on how to do the basics of rowing so we can get them into the real racing shells as quickly as possible.
How do you recruit potential participants? What are you looking for in somebody to be a rower? What makes a good rower?
A good rower makes they've got to like endurance. All right, rowing, the first thing is it's an endurance sport. Our events range from 8 minutes to 20 minutes approximately, depending on the season, and so you've got to kind of like a lot of cardio in the event. Anybody can make a good rower. It's a sport you can pick up. It's just a matter of how far you want to take it with your conditioning and commitment.
And it's not just endurance, it's timing as well. Everybody's got to work as a team.
Yeah, there's a lot of technique involved. So as Randy said, a lot of it comes down to that endurance training so you can put that, what you learn on the technique to good use and be efficient in the water.
And last year was the first year you competed in the group called NEIRA, N-E-I-R-A. What kind of new opportunities being part of that organization present for you?
Great opportunities for growth of the program. As you might know, rowing is not a NHIAA sport, so we have gone to this New England program, which is New England wide, and its base is a championship regatta in Worcester in late May or early June. So last year was the first year we went to we had been in it 1 year earlier as a guest a few years back, but we think we're committed to the program now. And we were able to qualify 3 boats there, which was a great victory for us as far as getting that far. And we're hoping to get back there again this year.
Yeah, a lot of people at least have heard of the Head of the Charles. How difficult is it to get into that race?
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. There's a sort of lottery system involved, so your previous years do play a factor into that, but a lot of it also comes down to whether or not you get some of the draws through the lottery process. So we came very, very close to auto qualifying last year based on our results with the girls 8 that raced, and then the kids did an ergathon during the winter time to get an additional bid for a spot. So we're looking forward to getting back down to Boston for that.
What are some other prestigious races that you're shooting to participate in this year?
Well, we always go to the New Hampshire Championships, right? That's our local race, and we like to make a good appearance there. It's very close for us. We traditionally have a lot of entries, and we'll typically get a lot of top 3s at that event. It's a great venue for spectators, for the parents to get introduced, so we always like to get to that race as well, one of our priorities.
Now, you're working on building your own boathouse, correct? How's that coming along?
Yeah, so thanks to a lot of sweat and elbow grease from our parent volunteers and coaches, we have a structure that's going to be completed, we think, this weekend. So the full metal structure's up. It's an 80 by 30 structure, so we're hoping to use that for storing our newer shells, and then we're planning to use some of the extra space for training activities. So we're really excited to get that up and functional.
So what would you consider to be a successful year for both teams this year? What can you achieve to consider it a success?
I think strong showings in the regattas that we've entered in. So we've got the New Hampshire Champs, the New England Championships, and we're going down to the CRI regatta in a few weeks. So strong showings there. And then I think one of the other goals for us as a program this year is to expose more of the Bedford community to rowing. So we're doing our Lurgio Learn to Row again. That's starting this weekend. And then we're also going to be trying to host an open house down at the site in early September, just to give other students and other community members a chance to see what rowing's all about.
Anything to add to that, Coach Ford?
No, totally agree. We're a year-long program essentially, so we're aiming for the NEIRA again, I think at the end of the season. It's a long time between now and then, and we want to have these achievements throughout the year and kind of peak there in May.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Coach Randy Ford of the girls and Jeff Upton for the boys. Thanks for joining us on the broadcast.
Hey, thank you.
Welcome to Meet the Coaches 2023. I'm Harry Kozlowski here talking with some of the coaches from the Bedford Bulldogs Athletics Department, and we're speaking with Annika Van Loon McStowe, who's the head coach for field hockey. Annika, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
And how long have you been with the program?
6 years.
And last year, your team had a pretty solid season, 13-4 record.
Yep.
That's pretty good. A lot of very close contests.
Yes.
A few got away from you. What do you think a team gets out of winning those close contests? Is there learning from winning, or even losing a game by a close margin?
Yep. I feel like you can learn a lot of things from both sides of it. So if we've won a game but it's close, we make sure we remember that it was close, and anybody's day. It could be anybody's day.
And what do you think are some of the factors that turn those games one way or the other?
Some has to do with attitude, I think that, and the rest has to do with the skill and the cardio. But if they have a good attitude when they come into each game and for each practice, honestly, they're going to be successful.
How much of a role does your bench play in your team? Do the starters pretty much play the entire game, or do you rotate players in enough to keep them fresh?
A little of both. This year will be kind of unique. We have 7 swing players. So they're on varsity, but they'll be swinging down to help us with JV because of our numbers. But those 7 swing players will see some playing time this year. Our starters will probably stay in for the majority of the game, but if I need fresh legs in there, they'll be my go-to.
Who are some of the players that you're going to be counting on this year?
Oh, boy.
Who are some of your leaders, like some of your senior leaders, and maybe some up-and-comers?
Yep. We have great captains. We have 4 captains this year. Amelia McDonald. She is a junior, and she is a force to be reckoned with out on the field. So she's a leader by skill, and she's a leader by being a leader off the field as well. Natalie Denon is a senior. She's a great captain. She's wonderful with the kids. She's just a born leader. Do you want me to tell the rest? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Keep going.
And I definitely don't want to forget Maddie O'Donnell as one of the 4th captain. She is just so helpful. Last year she was out with an injury, and she still showed up to every game, practice, rain or shine, and she's one of those leaders on and off the field too, so we're happy to have her as a captain. Skylar is our manager, but she is a captain, and she is very helpful with us as setting up drills and skills and doing a lot of help on the field.
Obviously winning a title is the goal of every team. But short of that, what do you think are some of the goals you could achieve that would make this season a success?
That I could achieve.
Or the team?
I think it's really important to remember we're all here for a couple reasons, not just to win. It's to have fun. And if you don't love what you're doing and love the sport, then it's not worth doing. So to have a good mix of fun, but also, get down to the business and get winning games.
And to bond as a team.
That's true. Yes.
Coach, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm Harry Kozlowski, and welcome to Meet the Coaches of the Bedford Bulldogs Athletic Program Fall Edition. And we're going to speak now with the head coach of girls soccer. It's Michelle Winning. Michelle, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you very much.
And how many years have you been with the Bedford program now?
Since it opened in 2007.
Well, I do remember you. I don't know if you remember me back in the Union Leader days. I used to come and cover your games. And now I'm here with WBNH. You've always had a strong program. Team always won a lot of games. Championships have been a little tougher, obviously, because it's a very competitive league. You did finally win a championship this year. How did it feel to break through?
It felt great. The girls worked really hard. It was a great team from the beginning. It's never easy to win a championship, but that team made it so that it was easier than most, for sure.
You had a strong senior-laden team last year, and a lot of those players have moved on. Obviously, Zoe Santos, of course, first-team goaltender. She's going to be a tough one to replace. Who do you have coming up through the ranks to take over some of those roles?
Well, Callie Spittle, she's a junior. She came in. She'll be our starting keeper this year. Maggie Fox will be her backup. In the back, we're actually going really young. We have McKenna Snow, who will lead the charge with Addie Kiley, who's a freshman coming in. She'll be back. That'll be a good matchup. In the back. Kate will be in the back as well to kind of organize that with some senior leadership.
You've been working with your players. Obviously, that's your focus going into the season, but do you have any time to scout any other programs? Do you know what awaits you once the regular season begins?
Yeah, we played in some summer league games. We kind of have an idea. All the coaches talk. Division I's a pretty tight-knit group of coaches, which is great. We kind of have an idea of who's coming up. I think Concord will be strong. Goffstown will be strong. Obviously, Exeter, Timberlane's probably going to be the team to beat this year. So there's going to be some tough competition out there.
How much of a role do youth programs play in building your team? The young middle schoolers playing soccer in youth programs. How important is that, or those programs in leading up to your program?
Yeah, it's really important. They play a lot of soccer. The girls that are super successful at the varsity level, they're playing multiple nights a week in really competitive programs. So we have BAC that helps us out, but we also have a bunch of clubs around that the girls are involved in.
Obviously, winning a title this year is the goal, but short of that, what would you consider a successful year for you and your team?
Well, there's a lot of ways to measure success, to be honest with you. The wins are great, but we really we want these girls to have a place to play soccer that they enjoy. And high school soccer is very different than where they come from clubs. So that's the number one, is that we create an environment of teamwork that has the girls have a sense of pride. They want to play here and they have a good experience whether we win or lose. In terms of our wins and losses, we average about 12 a year, so I'd like to stay hovering around that, which is going to be a tall ask, graduating 9 seniors, but in preseason, the girls have stepped right up, and last year's a year in the past. We're getting going, and we're off to a great start.
One bonus question. We just finished up the Women's World Cup. Spain, of course, came with the win. How many of your players watched those games, and how do they feel about seeing the women on the world stage like that?
They don't talk about it all that much, to be honest with you.
Oh.
We did a little PK shootout in practice the other day, and obviously they throw out some names and they joke about it and stuff. And some players will watch, but this year with the World Cup being at such an odd time, it was kind of tougher to follow for them. They didn't set their alarm to wake up. They're highly involved in soccer, so we talk about that kind of thing, but it's not the focus. They're out here having fun, joking about their everyday stuff, to be honest.
Coach Winning, thank you for joining us on the
Thank
broadcast. Time for more Meet the Coaches 2023 edition here with the Bedford Bulldogs, the fall season teams, including Spirit, with new coach Cheyenne LeBlanc. Coach LeBlanc, thank you for joining us here on the broadcast. Tell us about your background. You just joined the program this year, right, as head coach?
Yep, so this is my first year with Bedford High School. I've been coaching the Lergio Middle School program for the last 6 or 7 years, and I've been involved with the youth program pretty much since I graduated high school, so for the last 10 or so years in town. So when the opening came up for the high school, it seemed like the best fit to step up and apply for this position.
And how do you find the transition going from middle school to high school?
I think it's great. I am feeling super fortunate because most of these girls I coached during their youth years. I had them when they were with our youth program. I had them in middle school, so it's great to get them back and be able to work with them through their high school years.
That must be great to have a relationship with your players, or your performers, I guess you would call them.
Yeah.
Going back a ways. Speaking of the sport of Spirit, it's related to gymnastics in that you're not really scoring goals or points, but you are being judged by your performance. How does that affect a team sport when you're being scored on judges' opinions?
Yeah, so we have a rubric that we're working within the goals on the rubric, and that gives us a scoring range to shoot for. But it's tough because one week you could have one judge that absolutely loved this portion of your routine and they're going to score you higher, and the next week you might not be their cup of tea. And we don't get a say in that, so we try to be as skill-based as possible and keep things as focused on the skills on the rubric in the way that we can and hope for the best that way.
Do team reputations ever play a role into it? I know that a team like Pinkerton is a consistently high-performing team. Do you think those kind of teams kind of get a little extra boost in the numbers because of their reputation going in?
I would say that our judges are super fair. I'm not sure that it gives them a bigger boost score-wise, but I think the presence of their parents, their organization, the fact that they're such a big team. We have Dover, that's also a huge program. So when you're in the stands and you have entire sections cheering for you, opposed to a smaller program like Bedford's been for the past few years, you just have less people there cheering for you, less energy in the room, and that impacts the way the girls perform. So I don't think that judging-wise it's a benefit, but I think performance-wise it's definitely a benefit.
At the very interesting point that you raised, and it's a bit of a challenge to the parents of the athletes in this program. They need to come out and support these performers and make sure that they get their scores up.
Absolutely. Get them out there, yell loud, cheer for them, be in the stands. If they give energy, the girls feel it. They perform better with that energy.
So what would a successful season for you look like?
This year, I already feel like we're starting out successful. We have a JV team, a competitive JV team for the first time in a handful of years, and that's huge. We just haven't had the numbers for it, so I feel like we're starting out on a great foot. for both varsity and for JV this year, but I just think for us it's improving every year, every week on the score sheet. We want to see growth from ourselves. Like you said, it's a very opinion-based scoring situation, so if we can see growth, if we are hitting our goals as a team, less so than are we placing first, second, third, fourth, fifth at competitions every week, that's what really defines success for us, is growing as a team.
Are there any athletes you want to give a shout out to here?
We have a huge senior class this year, so I think it would be great to recognize them. We have 8 seniors, and those girls have been cheering together since they were teeny tiny in our youth program, so it's really nice for our program to have such a strong upperclassmen leadership group that's been so committed to the sport for so long.
So parents and fans, do your part, come out and support these girls and make sure that they achieve all they can achieve.
Absolutely. Give the energy. They'll feel it.
Coach LeBlanc, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your time.
Welcome back to Meet the Coaches Fall Edition for 2023. I'm Harry Kozlowski, talking with the interim head coach for boys soccer, Sean Diaz. Welcome to the broadcast.
Great, thanks for having me.
Of course, Coach Pepper is currently under the weather, and we wish him all the best. Hopefully be back fairly soon. But Coach Diaz, you've been here a year with this team. You've had a chance to get to know some of the players. How would you describe the makeup of the team?
So, I've seen the team grow over the last couple of years, and it's kind of it was a younger team for the last 2 years, and seeing the same faces over and as they grow, it's been really a pleasure to see them as they're getting older.
And as a team, a younger team grows together, you hope that they come together as a team. They should all culminate in this year, right?
Absolutely. You hope that you have some great senior leadership. The 3 captains, Gavin, Griffin, Middleton, and Jack Toolin are, they're the faces of the program, and they lead by example. And they've been on the varsity team for this will be their 4th year. So,
what's it like building a team at the high school level? You have your ups and downs. The program under Stu Pepper have achieved some highs, and there have been some lows as well. How do you work your way through all that?
That's a great question, because we talk about it every day, that we just we come to training and we try our best to just get better every day and work hard, and being on a team here at Bedford High School with especially with last year's successes that all the other programs had, there's a little bit of pressure, but I think that is something that these boys are kind of they're taking that and trying to work hard every day, and hopefully that shows with our results.
In years past, there have been international players that have gotten involved with the program. Are there any players like that from other countries that are participating?
Not in the varsity program. We do have a new player that just arrived from Spain. He just joined us 2 weeks ago. Pau. He's on the JV team, but it's been great to have him. Feel like he's been here all 3 years. So.
And going into this year, who are some of the, besides the captains that you mentioned, who are some of the other key performers you're looking for?
Absolutely. So Elliot Teixeira, he's a senior as well. He's a 4-year varsity player. And then we have a big junior class that a lot of them were starters when they were freshmen. Ethan Benjamin, Jacob Bilecki, Tavis Wallace, and also Colin Johnson.
And last year, how many wins? Do you recall how many you had?
Yeah, we actually, I think we overachieved in the regular season. We finished the regular season 11-5, and unfortunately we bowed out in the first round to Portsmouth.
So what are your goals this year? Obviously, maybe getting a few games further into the tournament.
Yeah, no. The way that we approach the regular season is that we're going to try many different things to, just to kind of peak when we get into the playoffs. So, our hope is that, we finish in the top half of the group, maybe a home game like we did last year, and then, we got to sneak past that first round of the playoffs. So.
Have you kept an eye on any of the other D1 programs this year? Are there any teams that you circled the calendar when you're playing them?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So a lot of these guys play club soccer against some of the top kids in the state. So we know all the big players in the state. And obviously Nashua South 2 years in a row, they've won the state title. So they'll be gunning for number 3. And, these guys have a bunch of their friends on that team. So, they're a big one. Obviously, BG's a big one. Exeter, Pinkerton, the same faces all the time. So.
Coach Diaz, thank you for joining us on the broadcast.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you
so much. Good luck
with
the year.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, we're meeting the coaches here this fall sports season here on BCTV in Bedford 105.1. And we're all going to learn something today about bass fishing, competitive bass fishing. Bedford's got a team, and we have our second-year coach here, Mark Fournier. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Again, I didn't really know much about how the tournament worked, and you just explained it to me. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Tell our viewers how a bass tournament comes together.
So the tournaments that the kids fish, there's two primary lakes, two primary tournaments that they fish. One's the state qualifying event, and that's going to be 30 to 40 teams in the state that are qualifying for the top third spots. Basically, each team, our kids go out from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and their goal, 2 kids, is to bring back the biggest 8 fish in that tournament. So it's an 8 fish limit, and they have 6 hours to do it. So last year was my first year, and we went out on Winnipesaukee, and it was a total downpour all day. But
I think I remember that.
Yeah,
the weather was not conducive.
It was brutal, but they powered through and finished in that top third. And actually this year we had 100% more kids try out for the team than we did last year. So growing and healthy.
I was going to ask you, what do you look for in a potential fisherman?
A few things, a few really critical things. The biggest thing is just a kid that's coachable, somebody that's probably a little more comfortable on a bass boat. Obviously somebody would be ideal if they've fished before, but somebody that's coachable, competitive, wants to learn, supportive of the other kids. There's only 6 kids on the team, and it's a younger group, but still they spend a lot of time in the boat together. And so the biggest thing that I wanted from the kids was to just be able to stick together as a group and look for the kids that were supportive of each other and coachable. If they can do that as a tournament fisherman, I can bring them along the way in the next 6 weeks and get them ready for that qualifier.
I was going to say, you are a competitive fisher of bass and other fish as well.
Yep.
Without revealing any secrets, what are some of the factors that go into making a successful day out on the lake?
Well, I think simplify it. So it's like I've told the kids, and some of the secrets are, if you're new to a lake, or if you're just going to start fishing, a Senko or a drop shot, things like that are really simple to use. There's not a lot of moving parts. They're going to be most effective. And with a Senko and a drop shot, you can cover from 1 foot of water to 60 feet of water, and they catch more fish than anything else out there. So that's with the kids, getting them just used to slowing down and fishing those 2 pretty simple baits in their terms, but and then also getting them used to hooking bigger fish, and that's a key too.
And I assume that all bass count here, smallmouth, largemouth, they're all considered part of the tournament catch?
Yep. So when we go out in the qualifier or the state championship, it's a 12-inch minimum. So that bass has to be at least 12 inches to be countable. And they'll measure them for length, and once most of them we don't have to measure, they just go right to the scale and in the live well.
And of course, after you're done, the fish go right back, so it's catch and release.
Catch and release. So they we carry those 8 fish around for 5 or 6 hours, and then at the end of the day, they're weighed and released back safely. The state does a great job with that. I think there's a 98-99% catch and release alive rate.
Terrific. Well, we look forward to seeing you at work this year, and wish you a lot of luck with the kids.
Thank you.
Mark Fournier, the head coach of the Bedford bass fishing team. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
We've been meeting all the head coaches for this fall upcoming season here for Bedford Athletics, and we're saving the best for last. Anna McGann, the head coach of the girls volleyball team. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
You are riding a real hot streak here, 60 wins in a row.
Yep.
And you've won 3 straight titles.
Yes.
And you have a chance to win a 4th one, which would match the NHIA record.
Yes.
Is that a goal that you think is achievable?
I mean, so we're in a unique situation this year. We've got 12 of our 13 returning. So the girls have been playing together for a really long time. They're really motivated, and it's just seeing the success year after year. I think that they're ready to go after it this season again.
Who are some of the key players that you're going to be leaning on this year?
We've got our 3 captains returning, same 3 captains from last year: Lindsay Healy, Lana McCarthy, McKenna O'Connell, and then our 4 seniors are huge for us: Lana McCarthy, Lindsay Healy, Riley O'Connell, and then Bailey Montgomery. So that group is really, really good.
And you beat the team that has the 4 titles in a row.
Yes.
That's Hollis Brookline, the Cavaliers. They're one of the top schools in the state for volleyball. And I believe you're opening the season against them?
No, so we open our season next week, I think, against Merrimack. And then we play Hollis Brookline. It's our second home game, I believe, the following Tuesday or Wednesday.
So that's going to be a must-see game. We'll have that for you on BCTV for sure. Let's talk about that championship game. You found yourself in a position that you probably didn't see much in your coaching tenure, being behind 2-0.
Yep.
And when you have a team that's used to winning all the time and they find themselves behind, sometimes they don't know how to respond, but your girls did.
Yeah, so I said it all season. It was really a rebuilding year for us, and it sounded kind of strange, but we had lost 7 of our main starters from the year before, so we were a young team. We had 8 sophomores that were key in actually, making an impact on the court. We had 1 senior, and then we had 4 juniors as well. So we knew at any point our age could kind of play a factor in what we were doing. And I think it started to shine through in the last game of the year, and it just took a lot of grit and heart from our girls to just pull through and say, hey, we're confident, we know what we're doing here. So we stumbled and took a couple of hiccups in the middle there, but I was really proud of the way that we finished the game and how we were able to come out.
And you were able to do that against really one of the class teams
Right.
in
Sure.
NHIA. I mean, Hollis Brookline, they're right up there with you.
We've won 3, and it's all 3 have been against them. So they've got a fantastic program, and they do a great job every single season. So it's always
So
fun
the
to play
rivalry
them.
is intense between your two schools.
It's been built, yeah. The rivalry has definitely been built
The
between our
gauntlet
two
is thrown down.
programs. Yes.
So don't miss that game. It's going to be amazing. Again, congratulations on terrific success, and good luck with your team this year. And let's hope for number 4.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Coach Anna McGann.
Thank you.